Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to another video. Victory Friday. Victory Friday. Everybody's dogging on deck. When things go bad. I was just watching Mark Holmes. Everybody saying, Joy Taylor. Stop. Just shut up. What else do you want this man to do? He carried the team on his back last night. And y'all still dogging on him. Like I said last night, if you watched my previous video, go back and check it. I said every week from this point on is going to be a fight. Our defense did not work last night. They did not play their best football. DaRon Bland, worst game of his career so far, his young career. Keep in mind, it's only his second year. Just got his head turned around, didn't get in position, just was off. Now, I don't think that's a preview of things to come. Hopefully that's something they can get corrected. He can get corrected. I'm sure he's not happy with that performance. Albeit, he got up against one of the best receivers in football, DK Metcalf. And you should have known last night. Everybody thought we were just going to walk in there and see all. They know they're not going to win a division at this point. Unless San Francisco falls apart. San Francisco's healthy. They're not falling apart. I believe they can and will beat Seattle. I'll give you my pick on that, but I'm picking the 49ers. Just because I can't pick the Eagles. I hate the Eagles. Like, they hate us. It's a fan hate. It's not hate. It's just you don't root for your division rivals. You just don't do it. It's an unspoken, unwritten rule. You do not root for your division opponents. So, even if they lose to the Eagles, their schedule is getting easier. The Seahawks getting harder. They got to go against Pittsburgh and a bunch of other teams that are. Every team right now is a lot of teams. These teams, including the ones Dallas is about to go ahead with. They're fighting for their lives here. Seattle gave you everything on defense and offense they had last night. If you didn't see the effort from the Seattle Seahawks, who are a very talented team, a very ticked off team, they've been talked about for the last 3 weeks. Oh, they're crap now. They're poop. They're that. Geno Smith and this and that and all that. If you don't think they were motivated last night, you're not watching the games. You're not paying attention. There's a lot of pride in that locker room. And I give that team a lot of credit. DK Metcalf came out. They did everything they could do. I do think they had a little bit of help from the refs, but there's bad calls in every game. Let's just be honest. Excuse me. But the Cowboys still went out and won that game. Enjoy the win. If you're on pins and needles, enjoy the win. We got Philly next week. We got Buffalo, Detroit, Washington, Miami. No game is going to be a blowout. Unless a team gets a quarterback injury, God forbid, or a bunch of injuries or something, God forbid that happens, then maybe. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Because as a fan, you should want your team to beat teams at their best. Because then there's no excuses. The pundits can't say, oh, you won because this quarterback was hurt, that person was hurt, so on and so forth. No, they beat that team at their best. They are the champs. Because as a Cowboys fan, if we beat a team in the playoffs or anything that doesn't have their starting quarterback or something, it'll be, they didn't have their... It'll be excuses. Everybody hates the Cowboys. I get it. But they're my team. They've been my team. They're going to stay my team. Hopefully, they can get a deal done with Dak sooner than later and make it a little more friendly so we can get him keep some more players around him like CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson. Tony Pollard is not the number one running back. Rico Dowdle is not the number one. We need to draft a running back next year, whatever round that is, or pick up a decent free agent that's still young whatever that looks like. Tony Pollard is a change of pace back. Reminds me of when we had Marion Barber, Tashard Choice, and Felix Jones. Had 3 backs. It was pretty good. It worked pretty well most of the time. Even though our offensive line was starting to fall apart. Our offensive line is not what it used to be. We're making the same mistake we made with Romo when we had Flozell Adams, Kyle Kozer, Andre Gerard, Leonard Davis, and Mark Colombo. Let him get too old and too banged up before we started replenishing the talent on the line. And that came back to bite us in Romo's later years. It wasn't until you got Tyron Smith out of USC in the first round in 2011, Ronald Leary as an undrafted free agent, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and Doug Free all together, that you really started seeing that line gel and become the best offensive line in football. Unfortunately, you didn't have the talent on the outside and on the defense or defensive line to provide help. We need more talent on defense. There's no question, especially linebacker. Van Der Esch could very well be done for the year. I hope not. Might be the end of his career. Neck injuries are not easy at any position. Excuse me. But at linebacker, whole different ball game. But 41 points. And people still complaining. So let's look. And Dak is having an MVP season. Let's look at this. So far in 2023, you're at 12 games played, 288 completions out of 411, 70% completion percentage. Already at 3,234 yards. Still got 5 games to go. Not as high as his highest at 8.4 and 8.2 a play, but 7.9 average. 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Could end up being as good or not better than his 2018 season where he had 30 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Could be even way better than that. With a rating of 108.3. Yeah, his rushing stats were not as good as they were when he first started, but after the kind of injury he had in 2020, you might not see that anymore, especially at age 30, going into age 31. You're not getting any younger. You're not going to be doing that too much. So you better enjoy Mahomes before he hits 30 or so, because you're not going to see a lot of that. You start to see less of that with Aaron Rodgers. But definitely MVP season. Now, McCarthy, what he should do is go in there and say, hey, everybody's still talking about us like we don't have a chance. They're going to say we can't beat the Eagles, even though we should have beat them. And if it wasn't for a lot of ref balling in that game, probably would have beat them. Can't beat the Bills, won't beat the Dolphins. They'll probably beat Detroit and Washington. Now time to shut up. But I'm going to enjoy the wins. And if we lose, you lose. But I think this team could do something special. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It'll suck. It'll hurt a little bit. But, I mean, how many teams are going to say that? There's only going to be 2 in the Super Bowl this year. Every team that doesn't make it to that is going to be thinking the same thing. Crap, we could have had a Super Bowl this year and we didn't. Every year teams say that. But I'm looking at the schedules here. Heck, you got to go on, and Tennessee's looking to play spoiler at this point, and maybe even sneak into the playoffs. Indianapolis 6-5, Tennessee 4-7, Denver 6-5, Houston 6-5. That's not a give me. Detroit and New Orleans. New Orleans trying to do something. Detroit's 8-3. They could easily be 8-4 after this weekend if New Orleans wants to play spoil and still possibly sneak in the playoffs or win that division. Nobody has locked up the South yet. Atlanta 5-6. The Jets are still technically not out of it at 4-7. Washington is out of it at this point, 4-8. Want to play spoiler? Beat the Dolphins. Put them at 8-4. Put them behind the 8 ball. The Dolphins have not locked up that division yet. Bills go on a hot streak, win all their games. Dolphins drop a couple more or so. They're in trouble. The Panthers are out of it, but they could try to play spoiler for the Buccaneers, who are technically still in it. Still in it. '49ers at Philly. Philly drops to 10-2. They lose us next week. We got the division. So I'm going to be rooting for San Francisco big time tomorrow. Because if San Francisco drops some more games after that one, we could still end up with the first seed. It's not over yet. Doesn't maybe not look likely, but you never know. Everything's out of play until it isn't. And everybody thought a lot of things were out of play until now, and they're looking at it like not so clear anymore. Cleveland's still fighting for their playoff lives at 7-4. Although I will admit, without Watson, that's going to be a tall task. Now, does Flacco have a miracle run in him? We have our 2012 Ravens. Who knows? But the Rams are also fighting for their playoff lives at 5-6, and they've been playing really good football. That's going to be a game. Green Bay is in it. Weeks ago, we would have said, no chance. They're done. Kansas City, not looking so great. They're one of the worst 8-3 teams that has a pretty good defense, but you can score on them. Their secondary is questionable. But their defensive line and middle of the field linebackers, one of the best. One of the best. Green Bay, pretty good defense. Offense has some weapons. Quarterback, questionable at best. We'll see. Maybe he changes that narrative. Because they go 10-6 or 11-6. I'm sorry, 11-6 and go into the playoffs and get on a hot streak. They can win the Super Bowl. It's happened before, the New York Giants. You remember back to 2007, 13-3 we go. We should have beat the Redskins, formerly the Redskins, now the Commanders, in the last game. We would have had the same seeding, but we probably would have played Green Bay or another team, Tampa Bay. We would have played Tampa Bay, I think, instead of the Giants. And there you go. Maybe changes the whole thing. So seeding does mean things. Cincinnati and Jacksonville. And Cincinnati's done. You're not going to play also win a Super Bowl with Jake Browning or A.J. McCarron. I just don't believe you are. Jacksonville needs to win. They're still fighting for number 1 seed. 9-3 looks a lot better than 8-4. What else we got here? What other teams? Every game's important for most of these teams at this point. Let's see. Chargers and New England. New England's out of it. They're done. They're not going anywhere except home. The Chargers still have a shot to go 10-7, make the playoffs, and maybe make a miracle run. Dallas is fighting for their lives every week now. Seattle's fighting for their playoff lives still, even at 6-6. They could still make the playoffs. But Prescott's done his job this year. The defense, I think they'll bounce back. Are you probably going to have a dominating win like we did a few games this season on? Probably not. I don't know if you'll see a beatdown. Some teams might fold, throw in the towel. You never know. But I think most of these teams are going to see dogfights. This is going to be a great month of football into January. So I'm excited. This is going to be edge of your seat football. So I hope you all enjoy it. Like, subscribe, comment, share, hit notifications. We hit 100 subscribers. We'll do a free giveaway. And I'll see you guys on the next one.